So here we have it. My final league prediction. This time, it's the top tier. It's the Premier League. So with that said, let's get to our final rankings.
20th, Burnley.
Well, there's not really a lot to say about Burnley except it's obvious they're going down. They may have Kyle Walker as their best player, but of course, they lost Trafford, which is a massive blow to them. And I think a lot of people will say Burnley will go down this season, me included. And I know a lot of people may think all three nearly promoted teams will go back down, but
19th, Wolves.
Now I do think Wolves are going to go down to the Championship. We've seen it for a while now. They've been on a bit of a decline. Even had Diego Costa at one point, which is absolutely mental, but I think their time has come, and I remember they were in a bit of a relegation scrap last season, and I think it will happen to them this season. They've not gotten good enough squad. They've lost a lot of their best players, and I just don't really see it happening for them this season. So, unfortunately, they're going down.
18th, Leeds.
Now, with Leeds, I originally intended for them to stay up, but now that the team above have a certain player back, I think you may know who that is. I just don't see Leeds surviving, and it's very unfortunate. They've got a lot of good players. I like Pirro, who's an absolute baller, but again, there's so many better teams that can just survive relegation like that, and it doesn't look good for Leeds either.
17th, West Ham.
And now for West Ham, obviously I had them predicted to go down originally, but Paquetá is now back from his suspension, and he's an absolute baller. Of course, they got Jared Bowen, again, another absolute baller, but with them losing Mikel Antonio, they've lost that firepower up front, and I just don't see Callum Wilson being that West Ham player they need, and it will be that good of a season, but they will survive, West Ham.
16th, Sunderland.
And now for Sunderland, I do believe Sunderland will survive. A lot of people think they will go down dead last, but this is my hear me out. I think Sunderland, they've made a lot of quality signings. They have cooked this transfer window. They brought in Granit Xhaka. And now I do think they will do well. And of course, for a newly promoted team, not quite what Wolves or Sheffield United did their first seasons back. Of course, Sheffield, when's I'm of course alluding to, is it 1920 or is it 2021? I'm not sure, but I do see them surviving by quite a comfortable margin, really. Of course, the signings they made, it's just, I see them surviving. I am waffling too much now. I will move on.
15th, Brentford.
With Brentford, I just see him finishing a solid 15th, but not really pushing or fighting anything. I just don't see much of Brentford this season. And I feel like I put him here because someone has to go here, and I think Brentford, I don't see much happening for him. Not Europe, not relegation, just there, really.
14th, Fulham.
And as for Fulham, I feel like it is the same as Brentford, really. Nothing too much to fight for, nothing to be worried about. Just a lower mid-table finish, really, for Fulham, I think. And personally, nothing special for the Fulham fans. Of course, recently they've been pushing for Europe, but I think they were quite unlucky last season and they had a bit of a drop-off mid-season. And I think maybe something similar will happen again. We'll never know.
13th, Man United.
Now, of course, I do believe Man United will have a massive improvement from last season's absolute stinker of a season. I do believe it is a management problem, and I believe this year they'll cut losses with Amorim and he'll get the sack, I'd say around Christmas time, personally, I think. I don't really see Man United pushing for anything. Again, as I said, management problem, it's not the players' fault.
12th, Spurs.
And again, I do believe there will be a massive improvement from Spurs this season. Of course, recently won the Europa League and their first trophy in 15 years. And I believe that buzz will push them forward. and hopefully they won't finish one above the relegation zone again this season. Similar to Man United, but I believe they've got what it takes. I think sacking Ange, that didn't help though, but I don't really see him going for Europe this season.
11th, Bournemouth.
And now for Bournemouth, I do believe Bournemouth, they have really been punching above their weight these last couple of years. Of course, last year they were even fighting for Europe, which absolutely incredible for a club their size, and they've really held their own in the Premier League, and I believe they will maybe have a start, like really solid start, maybe even top 4 start, but then I think they'll just settle for a sort of mid-table sort of finish, and that's why I have put them 11th.
10th, Brighton.
And now for Brighton, similar story to Brighton. Of course, punching above their weight, a club the size of Brighton going into Europe and beating Ajax. I believe they've been solid these last couple of seasons, and again, I think they'll have another one, a 10th place finish, dead on mid-table, and they will continue doing bits in the Premier League, which no one really expected. People were saying they were going to go down first season in the Premier League back in 17-18. And look at them now. They're thriving. And I've heard people say they're the best run team in the country, and I somewhat tend to agree, but of course, we've got Frank, so... But yeah, I think they've got really good owners.
9th, Crystal Palace.
Now, I think Palace, they will give it a really good go as a fight for a second season in Europe. Of course, won the FA Cup, which means they're in the Conference League, and I do believe they will have a really good go in the league, and they will finish 9th and just outside the European spots, which they'll be incredibly unlucky to do so. And I believe the main cause of that will be their sidetracking Europe, and I believe it will somewhat tire the players, and I believe that's why I don't think they will finish in Europe.
8th, Newcastle.
Now, for Newcastle, people expect them to do well because of all the money they've got, but I believe it's all falling apart with the whole Isak situation, and that's why I don't think they will get a Champions League or Europe spot in general, really, because I think the chemistry's gone down quite a bit, and again, sidetracked by the Champions League. And that's why I think they didn't get a European spot last time. No, the season after they got into Europe.
7th, Nottingham Forest.
Now, with Notts Forest, again, similar story. They're in Europe and sidetracked, and they will finish in Europe in a Conference League spot, and they will, I believe, play in the Conference League because they shouldn't really be in the Europa League in the first place, really. But again, I think they'll have a bit of a buzz. They'll give it a good go. They've got a really good team, and I believe they will, again, have another solid season.
6th, Everton.
Here's another hear me out. I believe Everton will get a Europa League spot. I believe they've got that good of a side. They have been cooking this transfer window. Of course, they've just signed Jack Grealish from Man City on loan, which is a really solid signing. When he can play, he does absolute bits. He can do really well at Everton, I think. He did really well at Villa, and when he moved to City, I believe he just didn't fit in, and I believe a move to Everton, it's a solid move. But yeah, about Everton, I believe the rest of the team is solid. Of course, they've got Pickford, a really good goalkeeper, I think, on his day. And they've just got an all-out, really solid team, and I believe they can get Europe.
5th, Aston Villa.
And now with Villa, I believe they will continue to show why they're a massive club, and I believe they'll finish in another European spot. Don't know how this one's going to work, really, because I put them 5th, but I don't know whether 5th is going to continue to qualify for Champions League. It's just so broken now. But I believe another solid season for Villa. They will finish 5th and get another European place for next year.
4th, Chelsea.
And now for the Chelsea. of course, Chelsea, they won the Club World Cup, which, I mean, it gives them a buzz, but I don't think it's all that of a competition. It's just a glorified pre-season friendly. But I believe they've got a really solid side. Of course, a few years ago, they were mid-table, but last 2 years or so, they've massively improved. And with the likes of Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, I believe they can go on and do even better things.
Third, Arsenal.
And now Arsenal. Again, I believe they've got... I don't think they've got a side that's capable of winning the league. Of course, they finished second for like the last 3 seasons, and I believe they'll drop down to a third place finish this season. They could fight for it, but I don't think they have a squad that's capable of winning the league. And I guess the only player I think that's capable of possibly doing so is probably Declan Rice or someone, I think. And yeah, I just see the usual thing happening for Arsenal.
Second, Man City.
And now for Man City, of course, been dominant. They've won 4 in a row, and they have somewhat like dropped off after they've lost, of course, Kevin De Bruyne. But Rodri is back now, and I believe he will again continue to do bits. Of course, won the Ballon d'Or, and now he's back from injury. He will show why he won the Ballon d'Or, but I don't think they will win the league this season, Man City. Because, of course, there's one team that's just better than everyone else.
First, Liverpool.
Arne Slot side will do back-to-back. I believe, of course, they've got too good of a squad. They've got, of course, Mo Salah. They've got, I believe, Florian Wirtz from Leverkusen. Of course, they've got Alisson, probably the best goalkeeper in the world at the minute. People could make a debate for Martinez, but yeah, they've got too good of a side, and of course, a lot of other people have predicted for them to win the league, again, me included. And now, of course, for my cup winners, I didn't say that, but I will predict the cup winners. I believe for the FA Cup, Liverpool will win the double. They will win the FA Cup and the Premier League. And for the League Cup, I've got Everton to win it. I believe they've got that good of a side, and I believe they will be this year's dark horses, and they will win their first trophy since 1995. And fun fact about that 1995 side, Joe Royle was the manager, and of course, he managed Oldham, and we've also got a stand named after him. So that's it for my predictions for the top 5 leagues in English football. I hope you have enjoyed these last few videos. I have had fun making them, though they have come with hard graft. Thank you very much for your support over these last few videos as well. It has been incredible, and that's all I've got to say really. So with that said, take care.